Vanakkam, Namaskar, and welcome to yet another episode of my podcast, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Chennai, and on this episode today, I'm going to be introducing to you a fantastic entrepreneur from the world of advertisement and branding. She is someone who is truly a free spirit, someone who's always thinking out of the box, extremely creative, and there's a wild child inside of her that I truly admire and respect. Something that I also have noticed about this powerhouse of talent is that she's always thinking of what to do next, okay? And that is something that I am truly inspired by. And something that her clients love about her is the fact that she always puts her client first. Client's business is our business is what her company's motto is all about. So it gives me immense happiness and a lot of pride in welcoming on to my podcast the founder of Ravenclaw, Batul. Hi Batul, how are you doing?
Hi Shruti, thank you so much. All through the introduction, I was just smiling. Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction that you've given me. I'm really honored. Thank you.
All right, Batul. So obviously creativity is something that is sort of like your middle name, right? You live, breathe, and you're always thinking of creative ideas, not just for your company per se, but for everything that is around you. You're always coming up with new ideas, collaborating with a lot of different people and bringing new things to Chennai. So how did this sort of ideology of wanting to get into branding and advertising come about? So let's talk about that.
Okay. So I like the fact that you put my middle name as creativity, and I would want that to be forever. Thank you. That's an idea that you have given me now. I've been in this field for the last 15 years, Shruti, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but advertising and branding. I feel that's in my blood, and I can't really do anything else but think of this all the time. And, I can't just rest in peace. It's like that.
Right.
Throughout my entire journey, right from when I was a child, I was an entrepreneur right from the age of 8 years. I had a library and I had about 500 books and about 60 members. So even right then, I was already thinking of ideas and, how... and I became a people's person right then, interacting with your members and what kind of books they like.
Right.
It was just inculcated in me right from that young age. And and as I went along, I figured out that this is something I really like doing. It just happened by chance, actually. I wouldn't say that I really wanted to get into this.
Right.
It just happened that, I I'm blessed that I landed myself a great job, and that's where everything bloomed for me.
Right.
And I say that, some things happen for a reason. So I think the place that I am in right now, it is for a reason, and I want to make a difference to my customers. I want to make a difference to their business. I want to be part of their success. It's like you said, their business is my business. Absolutely, their success is my success too. So I very passionately dream about their success. I always feel that there is something that they should do new. Everybody is bored of the old. They have to do something new all the time. And I feel it is my responsibility to create this for them. And I feel I'm part of their business all the time.
And I think that's very important because at the end of the day, a brand, right, is extremely dependent on having the right creative agency on board to make sure that the brand is being represented in the best manner possible. So I think that's extremely important. All right, let's go back and talk about you being an entrepreneur at 8 years old. That is something that I definitely want to talk about because to anybody who is listening, right, you come from a mixed family in the sense that from Maharashtra, Gujarat, you were born in Chennai. So you've got all of these experiences ingrained in you right from when you were a child. So obviously we know that the business spirit or the entrepreneurship spirit came for you right from when you were 8 years old. So what is it that Batul was thinking of? Obviously, I know that asking this question today might seem a little off, but the thing is, we all have dreams, right? We all as children, we dream of, I want to be an astronaut, I want to do this, I want to do that. But at the age of 8, when you got on to this whole business side with the library, What was young Batul thinking of at that point?
You know what? My first month, or I don't remember, but first few months, I received a payment of rupees 400.
Okay.
I think I was in 3rd or 4th standard then.
Right.
And the thing is, how it started is all of us, all our cousins, everybody are all we keep reading books all the time.
Okay.
And it just happened that I always see that there'll be a bunch of books like which will go as part of the newspaper Raddiwalas.
Right.
So I would see like 10-20 books going every few months to the Raddiwala, and obviously it just goes. We don't know where it lands.
Right.
So I was thinking at that time, like, why is these books, okay, newspapers, they have a place there, but why are these books? They are very precious to me. And I have to earn a book every time. If I do something, it was like a gift to me. Like I would have to earn. And for my cousin, it was just like, it was just part of their reading material and things. So for me, since it was part of my earning in the sense, if I do something good, I get a book. I was like, oh my God, these books are going to be thrown away. They're going to be taken away by somebody. So I decided that I'm going to collect those books. And once I started collecting books from my cousins and everybody who I knew who would do this as a practice of giving away their books. We had Archies at those times and they were so expensive. My God. And Tintin. And I'm like, oh my God, these people.
I remember, the only time that I would have access to a Tinkle or like an Archie's or a, Veronica and Betty Double Digest was when I was going on that train annual vacation and we'd stop at Higginbotham's, at the railway station and be like, please, can I spend a little bit of this extra money and buy this?
Yeah.
My mother would be like, you will read it in the train journey itself. And then what do you do after you reach Kerala? Right? So I totally relate to what you're saying.
Right.
Yes.
So since it was like part of, my gift, or I used to feel, so I thought, okay, I'm going to collect all of this. I went to all my cousins. I'm like, do you mind giving me those books? Because, I don't want you to just throw it away. Give it to me. I'll keep them. Right. I still have those books with me. Like, the precious ones, which some of them were gifted from abroad.
Right.
And it still got 12 pounds on it. And I was like, oh my God, they're expensive. I wouldn't give away those books. And I've kept them for my child as well. I said, okay, read it. This is a treasure. You will not find these books. Read them.
True.
So I started collecting them. And that's when I started, it became like 200, 300. I'm like, okay, now my mom is like, what are you going to do with this book? It's occupying space in the house. Do something. And then I said, okay, fine. Let me just, start a small library. We had a small, I had a separate room for myself, which I thought I would convert it into a library. And I started, keeping books and dusting them and cleaning them and, all those things myself. And yeah, that's how it happened in one of the summer holidays in, I think after 3rd standard. Yeah.
Right.
And it was good fun. I enjoyed it. And it was like a part of my history that, okay, this girl had a library at the age of 8 and, we were throwing away books and she preserved them and she did something out of it. I feel good about it thinking of that. I don't know, what I would do now. But yeah, at that time, I really thought, because they were given to me as gifts for every achievement, I thought they were precious and shouldn't be thrown away. So that was the entire idea that was stuck in my head and I would start collecting them.
I think that's a very beautiful thing, Batul. I think that's a very precious memory to sort of hold on to, because we all hold on to different parts of our childhood, right? We all have these very, some things, like you said, could be materialistic, like the books that we treasure. But sometimes it's about those experiences that we look back and we say, hey, we've come this far. The sort of journey that we've had truly sort of, makes us look back and look in amazement at our own lives, at our own journeys. So talking about journeys, from that 8-year-old child who started off like a library to being actually shortlisted for the Cannes, that definitely would have been like a dream come true moment, right? Absolutely, so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about Cannes.
Actually, that was a game-changing moment for me. I actually started to believe only then that, hey, you know what? You are good. To be shortlisted at the Cannes is not an easy thing. we all used to work for even getting one entry being selected.
Right.
And there I was having it shortlisted and seeing the, on the screen at Cannes Advertising Festival. I started to believe in myself that, hey, you know what, you are good. You have to you use this talent of yours and help others, help take brands, uplift them. You have this thing in you. You should do it, and there's nothing else that you could do at this moment rather than helping people, helping brands succeed, bringing them out in the limelight and telling them about what they are into and what they are selling. That's when I started to believe in myself, and it just went on after that. And Cannes is actually unbelievable. I don't know how I even got there, but then we worked on that ad for almost 4 months.
Wow.
Which was shortlisted. Yeah, right from the ideation, we had a great boss who used to keep winging Cannes award like, anything.
Right.
And so right from the ideation to executing the idea, and Cannes, you have to be perfect.
Right.
Every shadow, every dot, every line on that layout is calculated. So, it has to be sharp. It has to be perfect. Every font, it has to be perfect. There's nothing else but being perfect. That phase of my life actually taught me how you should get things done in a perfect manner and how it matters when you do it perfectly. So I would feel that even a single line that I write, or the smallest of the logos I design, or the smallest of the ads that we do, it could be for any client, a small brand, medium, or a huge brand. It has to be perfect for me. There is no other way that it works out other than just being perfect. So it inculcated the habit in me to just do it perfectly. That's about it. There's no other way. You take your time, but do it perfectly. It's that.
I think that also applies to life in a lot of ways, Batul, because sometimes, I understand giving ourselves slack. We do talk about it's okay sometimes just take that break. Sometimes you need to do something to sort of, reinvent and come back and repurpose and all of it. I do understand it. But somewhere I also feel when we strive for perfection, right? When we are so used to sort of understanding the result that perfection will give us, it makes us want it more. Right?
Absolutely, you just said it, yes.
It applies to a lot of life situations as well. So talking about this experience, right? I know that you're extremely passionate about advertising, and you sort of, like you said, you love creativity being your middle name now. So obviously there are like ups and downs as to every profession, right? There are obviously the highs of highs and the lowest of lows. And being an entrepreneur with a brand that is young and free-spirited as Ravenclaw, how do you sort of see yourself amidst the other entrepreneurs? What is it that sort of sets you apart as a person? As opposed to like coming from an advertising and branding background, what do you think that Batul brings to the table?
Okay. Actually, it's a very good question, Shruti. I think it's very relevant, especially during these times. Thank you for asking me this. The thing is, I come with 15 years of experience in terms of advertising, hardcore advertising, in terms of working for 6 years in international global advertising agencies. And at its peak, they were number one advertising agencies in the world. So what sets me apart compared to the other entrepreneurs who are out there is the kind of international expertise that I bring to the table. And the thing is, I never took a break in my entire 15 years of advertising, right? From when I was pregnant to delivering to being a mom, full-time mom, that's a job. I never took a break. It was a constant process for me to educating myself of what is happening in the industry. I kept in touch with my peers. I kept in touch with my clients who I used to work with. I never would take that away from me. I always was in touch. I was seeing what's happening. I would stay connected online on the digital platform, update myself. Okay, this is not happening. Okay, now this is the next trending thing. Let's work on it. Let's. And I would always collaborate. Although I started with a with just 2 people in my team. Now we are a 10-member team. I would always collaborate with a lot of people. And that's what I felt, that I was gaining so much knowledge while collaborating.
Right.
I would collaborate with an artist who would be just painting. You won't believe, I've collaborated with people who painted walls on the street. I've collaborated with people who just, started doing calligraphy on the, you would have seen earlier when we had hoardings and,
right.
I've collaborated with all kinds of people, right? From people who would paint your walls on the road to decorate Singara Chennai.
Right.
To people who would do these sci-fi and digital and Wacom kind of art on the medium. I've collaborated with so many people. And that's what I thought, since I was always looking for more, always exploring, because art changes every day,
Absolutely.
And unless and until I felt I was just very open to ideas, I was very open to people and their thought process.
Right.
And that's what I felt, that I started gaining more knowledge. I learned from anywhere. I learned from my team. I learned from my parents. I learned from my kid. I learned from everywhere. And that's what sets you apart, when you don't stop learning at every stage in your life. I feel that not many people have this attitude of collaborating and, giving birth to a different idea while collaborating with geniuses. That's what sets you apart, I feel.
I think that's just one of the most riveting answers I've had, with my whole podcast experience so far. Specifically because, Batul, you and I met each other like that. You and I actually met each other through a collaboration, through a mutual friend. And we've had this journey where we've sort of seen each other grow. And I still remember our first radio interview, back, I think about 2-3 years ago. And then cut to today, where we're having this conversation and we're talking about collaborations and we're talking about, entrepreneurship. I think what you said is so beautiful, when the learning never stops. Because I think that is very important. A lot of people sort of assume that once you reach a certain level, right, why should I go down and ask somebody for a collaboration? That ego sort of creeps in. It happens quite a lot, and especially in an industry such as branding. And because branding also involves people branding, right? It's not just about like a product. It is about a brand. It is about people. And there are so many different facets to it. So I think that's beautifully said. I think that truly, yes, does set you apart. And also the wild child in you. I think because you're always thinking of wacky ideas, right? So let's talk about that. On one day, you're doing a little bit of surfing. On one day, you're riding a cycle. On one day, you're doing this marathon. So how did that sort of adventurous spirit come? I mean, I'm not surprised. Knowing you, I'm not surprised. But tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. This is what happens when you have 10 cousins who are guys and one cousin who is a girl. You kind of start playing cricket, you kind of start playing football, and you kind of become one among the guys. You forget. Hey. So I think that kind of, I'm not saying that only guys do such thing, but I'm just saying that it started off like that.
Right.
But then I always felt that the thing is, in advertising, especially where I come from, we have erratic schedules. Okay, we work like 48 hours in a row, 72 hours in a row. We don't nap. We have to stay alive and sometimes what happens is like stress. The last minute stress kind of gives birth to greatest of ideas.
Right.
So to keep that energy in you, I felt fitness is the only way that could actually keep up with me and my energy that needs to be on the table all the time.
Right.
So I had to keep looking for ways to motivate myself. I started running. I started cycling. Okay, fine. And you know me, I always need a change all the time. Okay, fine. No running today. Let's cycle. Okay, fine. Not before. Let's ride the wave today. Let's go surfing. It always has this, and I feel that kind of brings in that the rush in me to achieve something, and that spirit is very important to be there in you all the time. If you're especially in this business of creating ideas for other people, you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders when you have to do for other people. And it is so important for me, because it's like if their business is in trouble, it's like, oh my God, I have to solve that issue.
Right.
It is that. So I feel like it's a lot of responsibility on yourself, and to keep going, I really have to push myself with other sports activities, and keep myself fit, so that I can do this for them at the end of the day. So that's what is me.
No, I can't believe that, somewhere you are so in tune with your brand. You're so in tune with creativity. You're so in tune with advertising all the time that everything you do sort of revolves around that. Right? Somewhere there's such a deep-rooted sort of, intersection between everything in your life, that it finally comes down to that one point where you're still doing things because you love to do them. And I think that's a beautiful spirit to have, Batul. Not a lot of people have that. So I think it's always important also to keep that child inside you alive. So kudos to you on doing that. Brilliant. Okay, so we've spoken about all of this, right? I want to ask you this question. This is something that I don't think I've asked a lot of people, but since you come from the advertising background, people say that creativity is not like a tap that you can just switch on and switch off, which is very true, right? A lot of artists go through this. A lot of people who are ideating go through this. So what does Batul do on a day when that creative tap is just not working?
Right. Oh my God, what do I do? I do nothing, okay? It is, I probably just go for a walk, look at things around me, and I would do all the things which are just not related to what I need to do. Like if I have to think of a campaign on television, I would not look for things for that. I would just probably reading my kids' book on plants or trees, or I would seriously, or I would read the ingredients which goes into my protein bar.
Wow.
It's random. It's totally random. Or I'll sit and repair some old gadget. It's really random. I would not do anything which is related to my job or what needs to be done. And I feel that that's where I give myself that space to think about other things, or to do something else, or I would also paint my wall. I've done all these crazy things. So I would do things which are just not related to what I really have to get it done.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Removing ourselves from that sort of gives you a fresher perspective, and sometimes when you're too close to something, you're like actually missing out the bigger picture, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense to be able to do that. Okay, Batul, so I also have this question. Like you said, this advertising field is something that requires your 24/7 attention, right? Because advertising never sleeps. Creators actually don't have like a social life, which is like the honest truth. Right? Because as much as we think of it as a very glamorous field that's filled with a lot of, parties and all of this, on this other side, you guys are extreme. So when it comes to being one amongst the guys and, being a woman entrepreneur in a field that is so erratic, how do you sort of maneuver through all of those challenges? That is what I sort of want to understand.
Okay. Yeah, you are right. It's 90% men in this field, and you just have about 10% women out here trying to make a difference to people. It is extremely tough. Okay. I get bombarded with text messages. I get bombarded with cold calls. Of course, with the pretext of work,
right?
But not getting at work. So this happens to me all the time. I'm sure everybody is used to it. I'm sure you are used to it, Shruti.
Right.
I still feel that we need to really create that kind of an atmosphere where everybody is really comfortable. Like I have learned through the years how to deal with all kinds of people. But then, learning never stops, but still there are a few you sometimes don't know how to deal with them. But then it's an ongoing journey. These are just small stones on the way which you just have to move it and go along, right now we need people who need to be sensitive. If you get tired, so do we get tired. I feel that feeling really needs to be out there, and we have to create this awareness. And when you have to say no, women out there, please say no. When I need to say a no, it means a no. Only a no would come out of my mouth. There wouldn't be like, okay, I will say no. No is a no. That's it. A lot of people do have a problem in hearing a no from a woman who's an entrepreneur, who's out there to make a difference, where there are others who are trying to take advantage of the situation, but you would never hear anything else but a no from me. That's it. And I think that's where it should stop.
Right.
So when you want to say no, just say a no, please. You're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. That's about it. It takes a lot of time to kind of get the kind of confidence, but I feel telling no is my confidence. When you say a no, that gives me confidence. Like, I am okay with not doing that. So stop.
100%. And I think we need to, say this out louder, talk about this, have these conversations and empower the people. And today, when I say, I don't want to sort of discriminate and say women and men. I just want to say anybody, right, should be given the power, should feel confident enough to say no when they don't want to agree to anything, irrespective of what is being put on the table, right? And this is a conversation that we need to have with children, with adults, with teenagers, with everybody, and make them understand that no means no. It doesn't mean an okay, it doesn't mean a maybe, it doesn't mean, okay, we'll talk about this on another day. It just means stop, I'm not comfortable. So I think, like you rightly said, it does take a little bit of maturity. It does take developing a thick skin. Okay, I think that also is very important because like you rightly said, I've experienced it as well. And I think I've had a few experiences where I've had to sort of put my foot down and say, hey, this is what I will do. This is what I will not do. And you do not get to tell me what I need to do. But it does right. Take a lot of, courage to be able to speak up and to be able to say that no. But I think it's important, and I think we're sort of making progress and, going there in the right direction. So thank you so much, Batul, for sharing that with me. I'm sure that's very important for my listeners. I think that is something, like we said, we need to be talking about more, and we will get there. So going back, Batul, and talking a little bit about Ravenclaw, the brand. I just want to ask you this question. Are you a Harry Potter fan? If so, why didn't you name it
Absolutely.
Why didn't you call it Gryffindor or Hufflepuff? I want to know why it's called Ravenclaw.
I told you I was into books all this time. At least some part of my journey should reflect that, okay, I'm a, bookie and keep reading a lot and yeah. Right. So yeah, totally Harry Potter. And then, the Game of Thrones came in, and then you had ravens all over carrying messages.
Okay.
Like, okay, there cannot be anything else. The raven has to be there in it. Right. And also, Shruti, the ravens carry messages. They're very curious creatures, extremely creative. They can make do with anything that is available to them.
Right.
You give them a water bowl to drink, they start putting pebbles in it and they start drinking the water. So,
right.
They're always creative. I feel that's me. I'm like completely curious, like you said, a child, and I have to think out of the box idea. It's kind of, I can't think of anything. It's become a part of my life now. I have to do things differently. That's it. There's no way about it.
I think now I've gotten my answer as to why, because I've never asked you this question in all the time that I've known you. I think I was probably saving it for this moment to sort of understand the ideology behind naming your brand the Ravenclaw. So that's a pretty cool thing, and you definitely are one curious cat. I don't know if you're a raven, but I know you're one curious cat, and you are making a mark wherever you go. I'm so proud of your growth. I'm so proud of the things that Ravenclaw has done, and I know that you've had a lot of success the past, especially during the lockdown with a lot of your clients, and I know that you're going to grow to bigger heights. But I want to sort of wrap up this conversation by asking you something that is personal, okay? Because at the end of the day, my podcast is all about talking about the person and getting to know the person behind the brand, right? So, Batul at 20 versus Batul now, right? I want to understand what has been the growth. What do you see? What do you feel has sort of changed? How do you feel you have evolved as a person? Versus 20 to now?
Oh, I would still go back to my 20s. At 20s, I feel that I had more time for myself. I feel that I was out there having a time of my life apart from work. And I used to like the person who always used to be in touch with everybody at, I would always make time for keeping in touch with the people I love and who I really adore. The person now, I feel that the time has reduced. I'm not able to make that kind of time for them, but I do love them dearly. And Batul at 20 was wilder.
Wilder than this, really? I'm just imagining what that could possibly be, but okay, we'll have that conversation off record.
Yeah, we'll have it later sometime, yes, off the record, right?
Yeah.
Batul now thinks a lot before she does anything. She doesn't want to hurt people. She is very kind. She's kinder than 20. She's more sensitive towards people, and she always wants good for them. Like even with my team, I always want my team to grow. My team which was with me, the team which is with me right now, I always want them to grow, whether they are with me or not. But I'm more kinder. I wouldn't hurt anybody. That comes from my parents. I mean, I would never hurt anybody. You don't say anything good, but don't say anything bad either. I wouldn't do that. And I feel Batul now has learned to say no more than before. Yeah.
Beautiful. And what a beautiful evolution that is, right? For us to sort of look back at the journey that we've had and to sort of understand where we've come from, because we're all a work in progress. Right? We're all working towards making ourselves sort of better every single day. Sometimes we understand that we are the toxic person, or sometimes we go back and we correct our actions. We learn from our mistakes and we sort of realize that, okay, you know what? I need to work on myself. I need to do better. I need to be better because I need to set an example for the future and I need to do it for myself. And I think that's a very honest admission of the sort of journey that you've had. But yes, the conversation about you being a wild child at 20, that is something that I'm definitely going to have with you off.
Yeah, we will get to that.
Yes, we will get to that. So as a sort of, ending to our conversation today, Batul, we've spoken about advertising. We've spoken about the confidence that you've sort of gained to say no to people. We've spoken about the child in you, and we've sort of explored different facets about Batul the person. So to anybody who's listening right now, what would you like to share as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as somebody who's really fought hard to make her place in the advertisement industry? What is it that you would like to share?
I always feel that to be an entrepreneur, you have to really feel for people. You have to understand people as much as you have to understand yourself. You really need to understand what do they want. What is it that they really need? I feel that is the most important thing that you would want from your people. And if you are able to give them a little bit with an extra effort from your side, being a little more patient, just talking 2 lines about how are you doing? Is everything all right with you? Just general, to make them feel that they are cared for. I think that is very important. You need to really care for your people. If you're not going to care for the people who are working for you, for your business, it would just be the other way around. They would never care for you as well. So I feel I wouldn't say it's a give and take relationship, but I feel it's a merger between people, and you should create that caring surrounding, they should also understand that, caring is really important. It has really helped me grow as a person as well when I care for people. I feel I really have grown with that characteristic in me. And it comes naturally. And you can develop this characteristic as well. It's nothing that you can't do. But if you can develop a little more of that, I feel you can really achieve wonders.
Fantastic. And I think that's a very beautiful takeaway to sort of end this conversation with. Because today I have learned a little bit about Batul the entrepreneur, I've learned a little bit about Batul the human being, and I've learned a little bit about Batul the Raven Claw. So thank you so much. Like I said earlier, you are a firebrand. You are a brand by yourself. You have helped so many wonderful brands out there sort of really, get their name out to people. And I love everything that you do. I think your panache for sort of finding the right people, growing that network and working with those talents has truly made you a force to reckon with. So I wish you all success, Batul. I wish all success to Ravenclaw, and I know that you're going to be soaring high because you deserve all of it and more. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Shruti. I mean, it is a beautiful time that I have had with you. After a long time, I felt relaxed talking about it. You hardly find time nowadays, especially with all these things around us. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. I wish it could have been in person though.
We all
forward, yes.
I know, right? We all are wishing for so many things where things could sort of return to normalcy. But until then, let's just adapt to the new normal and sort of enjoy life the way it is meant to be, at least for the little time that we are here, right? So
I agree.
On that note, it's time for me to end this podcast here. On this episode, my guest today was Batul. She is the founder of the branding and advertising agency Ravenclaw. You can check them out on social media as the Ravenclaw and get in touch with them for all of your advertising needs. So with that, I end my episode here. I will meet you with yet another interesting story, with yet another interesting personality on yet another interesting episode of my podcast series, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Chennai. And until the next episode, until I catch up with you, this is me saying take good care of yourself and stay safe. Thank you for tuning in. See you on the next one.